recording. We good?
All right.
We're good. Do we want to start, or I guess it's already 3:33, huh?
Go for it.
Go ahead.
All right, guys, I'm going to kick this off. Well, it's good to see all of you back here. Glad most of you stuck around. It's been a whirlwind of, 72 hours now?
It's been a hell of a journey.
Yeah. Months and months leading up to this just for it to go this way. But I guess I kind of want to start just by talking about, everything that's happened, what happened, why it happened, where we were. So everything with this contract had been tested extensively prior to us going live. But the problem was it was tested in a small, very small beta environment. And so most of the settings, and there's more settings than you can imagine on this thing, but most of the settings for this contract were set very, very low for low trading volume that would be, seen in a simulated environment. Well, like I've talked about, our devs, they've made something great, but they've been very difficult to get a hold of at times. And the instructions that we got for launching this contract it worked, but they didn't, tell us that we needed to update some of those settings. And so essentially what happened was all of the settings that were in place, like thresholds for triggering, when our tokens were getting triggered to convert to BUSD and put in wallets or converted to BNB. All those thresholds were set really, really low. So it was only doing that in very, very small amounts. And by doing that, it was accumulating billions of tokens within the contract, which, the contract was still working, but it wasn't paying out in moving the funds where they needed to be. So, for example, our first few hours, we did $25,000 worth of volume, and the prizes were like $8, which is not the way it should have been at all. And that's when we immediately knew something was wrong, which we kind of made it clear right away that something was wrong and that we were working on it, but we didn't know what. We couldn't figure it out. And Clayton was the one who noticed that we had, billions of tokens that were stuck in the contract. So we were trying to get a hold of the devs, trying to figure out how do we change that, and we did some setting adjustments. And when we did that, it froze up the contract. And so essentially no one could trade. And I don't know how apparent that was but there was no trading happening because of that. So we set the settings back and contract started working again. But the problem was that we still had a bunch of tokens that were stuck in the contract. So Saturday or Sunday, well, my time Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, we attempted to move those tokens out of the contract. The idea was we'd clear the balance and it would get, the contract would get unstuck. Well, what happened is the contract had it in a queue as if it was ready to spend it, and then we had moved the tokens out, and then it had nothing to sell or buy back, and so it again was stuck in a loop. And so there were a couple hours there where the whole thing wasn't working. So we moved everything back in, and we've been basically toying with the settings for the last 24 hours and talking with the devs, and now we have the settings right. Basically, we've increased the threshold. That's what you saw, the multiple 500 million token sells was us trying to clear that balance. And the problem was one, the tokens were stuck in the contract, but two, the threshold was low and it wasn't triggering often enough. And so after we raised the threshold, we were still having an issue with triggering those cells so that we could get it converted to BUSD and BNB. So last night, I somehow stumbled upon a way to clear it. And the way I did that was I would would do 2 buys, and then I would do a transaction, a sell or transfer, and I was able to clear it. The problem being, though, obviously with low volume, me trying to clear it, it tanked the price. Now, I understand that people were upset about that, and I had messages saying, hey, the chart looks bad, this is terrible, this is scary, and I get that. And that's why I came out with the harsh message of, if you're not here to support us, if you're not here for the long run, then get out. It wasn't, I'm not trying to be a dick about things. It literally, we had to do that to be able to move forward. And I understand that people were upset, and those who are upset, I'm sorry about that. But it was coming to a point where we were dragging this out, and hours, every minute I felt that we weren't doing something was valuable time that we were losing. So on my own, without, because of course Finn and Clayton are in the UK area, I made that decision to clear it on my own, and kind of kept y'all involved, or at least tried to explain what was going on through the chat while I did it. So, for those of you who are upset about the price tank, I'm sorry. We are working to make that right. As you can see, it's already started to come back up. And if anything, if you're here for the long haul, it's a great entry point at this point. But the main thing now is the contract's cleared. We have the settings right where it's not going to accumulate anymore. And then we made some minor adjustments to the contract so that, one, we think that will help with these issues, but 2, we think is just overall better for the project right now. And the thing is, we still have ownership of this contract, so we have the ability to change things around if we need to at a later time. So that was kind of the issue, and luckily we've now solved it, and all the settings are the way they need to be, so that going forward it won't accumulate like that. You will see 500 million token sells at period intervals, but that's only going to be when the contract accumulates that much, so that it can sell it, convert it to BUSD, and put it where it needs to go. Because without those sells, it's not going to put anything into the lotteries. It's not going to put anything into the marketing wallet, to the NOS wallet. Nothing gets converted without those sells. Now, we're at a point now where they don't have to happen so frequently. And once we start getting enough volume, those sells you won't even notice them. There'll be little blips within the chart. But the main thing now is we have a working contract. It's working the way it should. As a matter of fact, within the next 20 minutes, we're going to have our daily draw. So if you haven't been able to enter, I would suggest you go do that now. I haven't looked recently, but the
7.49 and 28 cents.
There you go. I mean, that's worth throwing a few bucks at, I think.
Definitely.
So I guess now let's talk about some of the changes we made. Yeah, we did the updates. We updated the settings so that it would work correctly. But there are some changes that we made, and I kind of put them in that pinned message. So I'm sure many of you have had a chance to read them, but I just want to go over them real quick. So one of the issues is the hourly lottery. With low volume, it doesn't trigger every hour, and it's really not that exciting. And to get a balance in the hourly lottery, it requires one of those 500 million token sells. And so I felt like last night, at least, after we had done that big 1 hour lottery draw, that was like, I don't know, whatever it was, 120 bucks, something like that. The next balance was, 220. That's right. It's been a long evening, but but after that, I had to trigger another 500 million sell just to have a balance for the next hour. And I felt like that was kind of pointless because I was doing more harm to the chart than I was actually adding a few bucks to the hourly. And so we felt like until we can get our volume high enough to where that doesn't matter anymore, we're just going to get rid of the hourly. We haven't gotten rid of it completely. We've just disabled it within the contract. So now the 1.25% that was going to the hourly is going to go to the daily. And so the daily is now sitting at 2.5% and the weekly is at 2.5%. So basically the daily is going to be twice what it was. And so that's just a temporary measure. We can take votes on it later. We can choose. We can bring that back at another time if we need to. But for now, we probably think that's the best thing to do as far as the issue with volume goes, which we don't expect volume to be an issue much longer, because now we've figured it out and we can move forward with everything we had planned. The other thing we got rid of is the buyback and burn. The reason why is this was another one where the threshold was set so low that today we actually realized we had 4.6 BNB of buyback sitting in there in the contract, not being used. And so we figured out that one, the buyback really wasn't that, it just didn't seem like it was that beneficial to the chart. You would see it on PooCoin or whatever, but it really wasn't making a big difference. And so we took that 4% and we're now moving it over to the NOS wallet, which was a 2% wallet. And that gives us a total of 6% of the tax in that wallet. And it allows us to basically trigger green candles at intervals that we think we need to, so if there's a big dip, we now have a much bigger wallet to combat those dips that we see. Again, it's not something we removed completely from the contract. We just disabled it. If we want to bring it back at another time, we can, but we really felt like it was another issue where it wasn't working exactly how we wanted it to. And so we figured the best thing to do was just disable it completely. Those are kind of the two main updates as far as what changes we made, things we removed from the contract. Some other things that we did, I talked about the thresholds. We also increased the frequency that those thresholds are going to trigger so that we don't get behind and coins get stuck in the contract anymore. Another kind of development is, which, we've had a lot of feedback from the community about them wanting more incentive for holders. And I hear you loud and clear on that. I understand that it's not ideal to enter the lottery and you don't win, and so you have to take a 30% tax on your sell and buy back in at 20%. Like, I understand that starts to add up, and and it works for the gambler, but it doesn't work for the long-term holder. So we had our suspicions that this contract wasn't necessarily resetting the hourly, at least the hourly and daily lotteries after, it wasn't resetting your entries. And so last night I ran a test where I opened a new wallet and I bought 4 million tokens, which gave me 4 entries into the hourly wallet or hourly lotto. And so I waited for that lotto to pass. It passed. I went and bought 7 million more, so 7 more entries. And then I connected to the DApp and it showed I had 11 entries. So 11 million total is what I had in my wallet, and 11 entries are what I had. So what this essentially means is, as long as you don't sell, it's not resetting your entries. So if you're a long-term holder and you haven't sold yet, all of your entries from previous will carry over as long as you buy into the new hour or the new day or new week. Now, what that means is someone who has a lot of tokens can buy in the next hour for $1, and then all of their bag counts for that. I understand some people might see that as like, oh, well, that's not fair, but you have to ask yourself, is it or is it not fair? Because they're the ones that have invested a lot of money into this project. And if you're here to throw $2 at it, I don't necessarily think that it's fair for them to have everything beforehand canceled out. And so I think that's going to make a lot of our long-term investors happy. It answers the question of what's in it for the long-term holder. Because I felt like in our AMAs, that was something we got all the time. It's like, there's no incentive for me to hold. There's no incentive for me to hold. And we kept saying, there is, and there's price increase, there's those sorts of things. But I think this is something that's an added benefit and will lead to less sells for sure. Now, the caveat to this is that the pots may not be as big, because we were kind of banking on the fact of people buying and selling to re-enter, to accumulate enough tax to have bigger pots. So if we have a bunch of whales who are sitting around and they just want to throw $1 in each hour, the pot's not going to be very big. So it's all based on trading volume, right? And so if something like this trades sideways, that's a lot of trading volume. If it doesn't, that's not a lot of trading volume. So we can't, if this is going to be the case, we can't necessarily guarantee that the pots are always going to be that big if we don't have more people buying in. But what it does is it significantly reduces the amount of sells, and this chart is just going to go up. So it's a fine balance of trying to figure out what to do there. And I think the right answer is, at least this is my opinion, and we've talked about this as a team, and I think the team agrees that it's probably best for our long-term investors and for people who are here right now with us that we keep it the way it is. And so as long as you buy in to the next hour, even if it's a small amount, your entire bag counts towards the lottery. Clayton, were you going to say something?
Can I make it? Can I add something? Because there's one remark. If you sell one token, then the balance resets.
Totally. Yeah. So that's the other part of this. If you came into this and you're still holding all of your pre-sale tokens and you haven't sold anything, everything counts. The moment you sell one token, everything that you've had prior to this gets canceled out. That's just the way this thing is set up. So yes, it benefits our holders in that they're, those who actually do hold and don't sell at all, their bags will count completely. But if you have, I don't know, you have whatever 7 billion tokens and you go and sell one, you're going to have to accumulate another 7 billion tokens to have as many entries as you had previously. So that's kind of how that works, and we've tested it and figured it out finally. That wasn't necessarily the way we designed it. It's the way it came out. So that's where we're at. The DApp, we have to make some adjustments to the DApp, which we're working on, talking to the developers. This doesn't, however, affect the contract at all, and it shouldn't really stop us from trading. There's a lot of comments going on. Doesn't stop trading. Like, everything is working the way it should. It's just the DApp is not really showing the correct amount for the weekly, just because of some numbers issue. It keeps showing NAN. So we're talking to them about updating that. And then we're also going to remove the hourly from the DApp until we decide to bring it back. That way there's no confusion and people aren't like, well, what like, where's the hourly drawing, blah, blah, blah. Just get it out of people's view, and then there's no questions about it. So those are the main contract updates. Let's see. We now have a working contract. We're ready to go. Marketing efforts. So we've held everything back while we were trying to figure all of this out. We're now about to start going full scale with marketing. As we were hopping on for this thing and working on a Reddit post that we're going to get out, we have the 3 influencers tweeting that we've been holding off until we had things set ready to go. We're going to add back to PooCoin. We will do the Coin Sniper. I think we're still on Coin Sniper from our, I don't know, Clayton, you'll have to correct me on that.
Yeah, let me check it. We should be.
Because we had a full week, and so we may have to re-up that.
Yeah, we're still there.
We're still there? Okay.
Yeah.
We have another AMA lined up. I don't know too much about the group, but apparently it's a pretty reputable group. The Futures Lounge or something. I don't know. Whit brought it to us. Clayton, maybe you can
it's
speak more on that.
Yeah, it's a small group of about 700 odd private investors very close knits. They do regular AMAs with up and coming tokens. Very similar to previous AMAs we've been on. And what we found, again, the best form of marketing for us by far, and any investment that we've done to date, has been via joining other communities and speaking about the token, because you can get a PooCoin ad up, or you can do a Coinzilla ad, or whatever you want to go do, right? But if you can be in front of a group of investors like we are right now, and you can speak, you can answer questions, you can clarify uncertainty or any fear and doubts, then it's a matter of knocking it in the bud there and then, putting them straight, showing your face, because that's important from a surety point of view. And we've had great success so far. I mean, if it wasn't for the AMAs, we wouldn't have done what we did on the pre-sale, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. That's happening Friday at 8 p.m. UTC.
Yeah. So we have that, and then we are talking to people about fast tracking CoinGecko, which Clayton, you've been in contact with them. You know a little bit more about it than I do.
Yeah, we're talking to multiple partners. You need to understand that this space is full of scams. So we've fallen them to that a couple of times already. So we are not just going to go with the first partner that comes along. We are doing due diligence, we're doing research, we're doing verifications, and then we get the price, and then we're doing a competitive price match, because it ranges from $3,500 to, my last quote today was $12,000, and that's a big difference. So it's not really about the price for us. It's making sure that when we buy it and when we send the payment, that we're actually going to get it, because CoinGecko will definitely give us most certainly the volume that we need. It will give us the exposure from a new investor point of view, and it is definitely the right thing to do. We have spoken about CoinMarketCap in the past as well. We're not going to spoon feed you guys and give you the on a golden platter. That's not happening. CoinMarketCap will come, but it's going to be a couple of weeks down the line, if I'm being honest with you, because looking at the charts, I'm just going to go slightly back. When we launched, it was an incredibly successful launch. Maybe I should put my hands up and say, I shouldn't have said anything. I should have kept my mouth shut, and it would have continued going up. The problem is because I've always been transparent with you guys, and so have G, and so has Sven, right? We've always been an open book. When there's been an issue somewhere, we've declared it immediately. And when I saw what was happening, if I didn't say anything, you would have all lost your trust in me, because I just couldn't understand why. But hang on, we've had $30,000 worth of volume in like less than 2 hours. Why the hell is the hourly only like 14 cents? That makes no sense to me. Why is the daily like next to nothing? And why is the weekly like only like $7? I couldn't understand it. And then when I looked into it, that's when I declared, guys, we have an issue. Please stop trading. And yes, people panic sold. If I was you and I was potentially new to this project, you have not been on any of our previous AMAs, of course I would have exited. So I'm not blaming anybody. But as a result of that, what G said, as a result of me declaring that, it did cause mass panic. And then that's where we had this big, massive surplus. In theory, that surplus should have been then contributed towards the lotteries, and it didn't. So that's where we were stuck. But, now that we are confident to move this forward, we will push the buttons on marketing. CoinGecko will bring us the volume. I'm 100% sure of that. Being on other AMAs, in other private groups and bigger groups, we've got an aspiration to join Satoshi Street Bets as well and do an AMA with them. I think that will be epic. That will bring us volume. I mean, their price tag it starts at $9,000, and you can get all these additional extras, and it just goes up and up and up. But we all know that group. It's probably one of the most popular ones online. And if we can get 40, 50 people on a normal small AMA, and then on the bigger ones, if we can have 300, 400, 500 people join us on those AMAs, you can just imagine it's worthwhile, because it's not just about getting the word out. There are people in these AMAs all the time from an influencer point of view. Look at the very first AMA we did. Less than 24 hours later, there was a guy that did a great video review of us, That's because he was in the AMA. He liked what he heard, and he just posted. So we get, apart from the buy-ins, which is important, there are usually influencers in there. There are people that like it. You never know who's listening, and it takes one person listening in that AMA to think, yeah, I like these guys. I like what they're doing. I like the concept. They posted tweets, and before you know it, it brings volume. It brings more volume outside of the AMA as well. So network marketing is the absolute must for this game. If we don't do it, if we don't spread and show face, we're not going to go anywhere. We'd love to say to you guys that, yeah, we're going to promise you, and we've said this before, we're going to promise you next week $1 million worth of trade volume a day. We won't make you empty promises. Our budget right now, due to the contract mess up, has, I wouldn't call it, it's not been depleted, but we've got to be careful where we're spending it. So we will be making strategical decisions on where best to invest what we have available while we build up volume and while the contract then redistributes everywhere else. For example, the lotteries. $700, just actually it's happening now. So should we just check over next 2 minutes?
Yeah.
There should be, I suggest you guys, you've got literally a couple of minutes. If you haven't bought in, go do so now because it closes in
8 minutes.
6.
It's actually
6 minutes.
It's in draw now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very, very small sell. This is something else. With more volume, this wouldn't be required. Let me just explain. Whenever there's the balance of the contract gets accumulated, it needs a sell to trigger all the different actions. That includes paying the lottery. It includes distributing to the marketing. It includes applying to liquidity. It includes the NOS wallets. It includes everything. So I don't know, G, can you do that now while you're on, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, hold on. I just have to reconnect.
I mean, I can do this. It's fine.
No, I got it
I
right
can
here.
do it as
You
well,
want a small
guys.
cell?
Yeah, just a very small one. It should, in theory, trigger it.
Yeah.
And we will see who's won. Sorry for the interruption. But I'm sure someone's going to be happy to. Oh, so you're right. It's in 6 minutes. Just hold off. I was wrong. I was looking at the hourly, and that's my bad.
Well,
so
it's too late.
It's 5 minutes now, I think.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that is fine. Yeah, so we've got a couple more minutes. So yeah, if you want to get in, I suggest now's the perfect time. I'll tell you to drop a BNB or two. That would benefit everybody, of course, and the lottery. But yeah, if you've not bought in, you've literally got a couple of minutes left before it goes and it pops. So yeah, these things are all going to contribute. The volume is all going to contribute to it. So we've got, like G's mentioned, we've got the Reddit post that's going out. We have got the AMA, which is happening on Friday. Plus, that doesn't mean that we're stopping there. If we get any invites from communities, we will take on those invites. We will, no matter what time or day, we'll make the time and we'll join. We will reach out. We will contact. We will network. We will do whatever we can to get more exposure. In addition to that, we hired a shilling team. They start tomorrow. Now, we've got our own community shillers, and we're not saying you guys aren't good enough, but we want to get rapid shills out there. Sven, we got them for how long? Is it 5 days?
So we have three professional ones starting tomorrow for at least 5 days.
5 days. Yeah, that's right. So, and it's not like the guys that you get on here, can we offer you marketing promotion? So, these guys do send proof. If they don't send the proof, they don't get paid. It's as simple as that.
They don't get paid, yeah.
Yeah. So we got that going on. What else have we got going on that's planned? We've already mentioned CoinGecko. I'm talking to multiple partners from a potential possibility. There are a few of them that offer it. Prices vary. Future plans we've already discussed, obviously bigger ones. When we've got the volume that we need, we're going to be doing the big press releases. We've got some small ones planned right now, but bigger ones like Cointelegram, they charge $9,000 for a single press release. So these things aren't cheap. This space is not cheap at all, but it's going to be in your benefit. So when you see these 500 million sales, and I'm seeing last one was at 10 o'clock. Literally, I think, G, you might have triggered that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So when you see these, don't stress. All right, you can go into the Lambottery contract itself, and just like you would go into BSC and go to the drop down and see all your tokens, I want you guys to think of that as an independent investor, an independent holder. All the contract tax when you buy or you sell goes to that pot, right? And once it's hit threshold, it sells automatically. It's no different to a normal investor at all. So just keep that in mind and don't stress. Like G said, when that sell happens, it's benefiting you. Let's see.
Yeah, that sell is required.
Daily.
Yeah, you can see it there.
It's 2 minutes to go.
So I guess there's I'm looking at the chat. There's some confusion about what I said as far as your entries carrying over. So yes, if you hold your entries carry over, but you still have to throw something in that time frame to qualify. So you can't just buy right now, never buy again, and you qualify for every single thing. That's not how it works. You still have to buy the next hour or the next day or the next week. But if you haven't sold, all of your entries previously get carried over with you, so your entire bag counts. So you can't just hope that you qualify for next week without buying in next week, even if it's $1 or whatever you're throwing, or I guess the minimum's 1 million tokens. So as long as you buy 1 million tokens the next week, you'll qualify for that along with all of your previous entries.
Exactly. It's also maybe just worthwhile mentioning going forward, once we do have, a few thousand investors and they're coming in rapidly and thick and fast, we do have the option to reset it. So we will never reset it without consulting with you guys first. But let's put it to you this way. I cannot see Mike. He's probably listening right now. He's one of our bigger whales.
He's out there in the ether somewhere.
Yeah, he's in
here.
So Mike is a really good friend of ours, and we know he's a long-term holder. But even with guys like Mike, when you hit those certain X's like 10x, 15, 20, 30, I don't think there's a single whale that will continue holding. At some point, they're going to take profit. It's just natural. It's the cycle, and it's the way this thing works. And when they do that, their entry is reset. So although you guys might think, well, hang on, this only benefits the whales. Temporarily, yes. But long-term, absolutely not. I think this contract actually works in favor for the whales, yes, but also the small fish, the small guys who can only afford to put in like $10. And we've said this various times, and you've seen it yourself, these lottery draws, when it's automated by the contract, it's fair game for everybody. Doesn't matter whether you put in $1 or you put in $100 or more. It's a free for all. We've seen people as well. In fact, that $220 that won, they went and purchased more Lambottery. So something else to think about. Okay, so it's going to be any minute now.
Yeah, it's in draw.
So last night when I was doing this with the hourly, I didn't actually have to trigger it.
It just happened?
It has a delay. It's just working through because it has to run through everything, Which, I mean, computers are faster, but you know what I mean? It's still going to take some time to run through it.
Yeah, I'm just going to go straight.
Sorry, guys. It was about a 4-minute delay before it fully triggered.
Yeah, that hourly one last night was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still in the contract right now. I'm just going to keep refreshing it, see what happens. But it should be triggering. I mean, it's going to be quite embarrassing if it doesn't trigger for whatever reason, but it should, because it has been triggering and firing off like it should. So, yeah, is there anything else we need to add, guys, so that the community can be updated and informed? In fact, maybe one thing to mention is where are we at the moment with the NOS wallet since we've increased it? We've got absolutely nothing to hide. Yeah, so we've got nothing to hide. So far, the NOS wallet, since the contract changes, which was roughly, 2 o'clock this afternoon?
Yeah.
Somewhere on there?
Yeah, your time, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So since then, which is what? 8 hours ago, we started the NOS wallet. At then there was maybe like 0.40 in. Contract changes has brought it up to 3.23 BNB. So that wallet will rapidly start rising as it needs to. If we don't need to use it, we will redistribute that towards marketing. So if we need to pay for something big, the funds are there over and above our normal marketing wallet. But that is specifically required for when the guys do exit and it causes an unwanted dip, then we can counter it almost immediately.
The daily says it's in draw now.
Yeah. So let's see what happens.
It just takes a few minutes. Did this yesterday.
Do we have any questions from anybody in the community while we're waiting for this to go through?
Hey, Clayton, I just wanted to give you an update on my iOS.
Yes.
I did some investigative work of my own. And what I found is that I can get it to work if you go into the settings and you don't use the in-app Safari, but just use Safari. It'll work fine. I still have to go in and manually disconnect my Trust Wallet through my Trust Wallet app, but I can still see everything like I do normally.
Great. And just to confirm, Brian, that's showing you your total tokens and the value and whether you're qualifying or not?
Yes.
I think we might have lost him.
No, I'm here. Yeah, it works. Everything shows up. The only thing that it does, it would show me my hourly, like when I would make a couple small purchases.
Mm-hmm.
It would show me my hourly, but it wouldn't show what my total was for the daily.
For the daily, right?
It would show that I bought it. It would timestamp that I bought 40 million tokens, and then it would show me the entries, but then there wouldn't be a timestamp on the daily.
That's interesting. So it's showing you hourly yes, daily no, weekly yes, something like that?
Well, it wouldn't show. Well, the weekly didn't really show anyway, at least on my end.
Yeah, it shows NAN at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can confirm. I mean, let me go while we're waiting for this to go. I don't know if you triggered that that variable too soon, G. Maybe just try push a small buy in and then another transfer or something. I'm just going to go have a look at the weekly so you guys can actually get an up-to-date figure of what the weekly is currently at.
So the daily now says 23 hours, 55 minutes. So it should be.
So it's been solved.
Resetting shortly. Yeah, hold on.
Reward token. Let me go to it now. Bear with me. So it's still showing in internal transactions. Yeah, if it's reset, it should be triggering at any moment now. So we'll just let it do a thing.
Yeah.
So I'll go into the weekly while we wait, just to give you guys an update what the weekly is currently worth. It's a daily contract.
Yeah, because we can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian, I've never been able to get the DApp to work on my phone, to be honest with you. I've tried, clearing my cache, doing all of that, but I can't ever get it to.
I've got the new, iPhone 12 or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
it works on there. On my iPad, I was having an issue. But like I said, when I went in and I got it, I went into data and storage, and then under other, it's open link buy, I think. And it gives you the option of in-app Safari or just Safari. So I clicked it off and put it just in Safari, and it works fine.
Perfect.
Like I said, I do still have to manually go out and disconnect the wallet. But it gives me all the updated information.
Well, that's good. So just have a look. The weekly is currently at $1,463.87. Which again, for somebody that's invested maybe $10 or less, that's a significant amount of money as a return if you were to win. So,
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, I could do with that right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm almost bleeding dry from all the time that's been spent in this contract. But it's a nice sum of money for somebody who might have invested. Okay, let's be real here. There are people that throw in a considerable amount of money at this, and for those, we are truly grateful. But there are others out there that may have thrown in, 0.25 of BNB, 0.01. We've seen them come through. We've seen all sorts of volumes. I've seen one token being purchased at one point. I was like, really? But at the end of the day, that's all it takes. So let's just go back to the daily. It might be waiting for the next transaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the NOS right now, and I'm going to trigger a big buy and then a very small sell. See if you guys give me a minute. I'll connect to Bitcoin. Let's connect. Any more questions or comments within the community?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Hey, how you doing?
You're right. I was just on your DApp just now, and I pressed on weekly entries. It shows at the bottom, select weekly winner.
Yeah.
If you tap on it, it keeps showing up a different address.
Yeah, let me.
That's good. That's good.
What does that mean?
So basically, whenever there's new entries added to the contract, it is going to add more loops to the overall address. Yeah. Then what it's going to do is start that loop all over again. So, if for example, when we do the first weekly draw and we select winner, if there are no new entries into the contract or no new purchases, that will always be the same winner. But as soon as somebody does a buy, then it's going to increase the overall loop that it's got to run, and the algorithm can rerun itself. So that's how we can assure you guys that this is completely random. It's not something that's hard coded or programmed. And in fact, you can probably check the if you've got any programming skills or you know people that can look into this, please tell me, because I could probably use their help to fix some of the stuff. But you'll see that there's nothing hard coded into the DApp. Clearly, the contract's verified. You guys can view the source. There's nothing hard coding in there. This is completely random.
Oh, okay. So it's basically there just to show us, is it, how it works?
It is, yeah. And also, if you click on select participants, you'll see it shows you the big list of addresses, everybody that's qualifies. Now, one of the downsides of this is that we did ask the dev to hide that, but we thought let's just leave it in and out if anybody does want to question us and say, but this isn't random at all. So we keep proving it is random.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm just going to go trigger a trade now. One. So I'll go buy one BNB's worth. There's another sell that's just triggered. I'll go approve that. You'll see the chart update shortly. There we go. Let's go back to the contract. It's still there, G. How did you get it to fire?
I really didn't do anything for it. It just fired on its own. I mean, it's been paying out the other days. It just may be delayed.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just.
Let me right. Let me try something else.
I'm looking at the.
Do we have any more questions, guys? I mean, I'm not worried. This is going to pay out at some point. It's just clearly not right now. And we have noticed as well, even when we have triggered transfers or sales to trigger the 500 million token sell, it's not instantaneous. You know, it will randomly just pop up on the charts. It does its own thing.
Yeah, I have another question, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
You've probably mentioned it before, but just to clarify, so if I'm holding and I'm not buying at all for like weeks on end, do I get entered in any draw? Or is that not? You have to at least buy a certain amount.
Yeah, you just got to buy 1 million tokens.
Okay.
Which is a very small amount, but it just has to register that you bought within that time frame. So, I mean, it's a few bucks that you have to put into it, and then it will
keep your records. Now, obviously, we have not done a first weekly draw yet, so let's just put that on. I wouldn't put it on ice for now, but G's absolutely right. It's the same that when you buy in tokens, right, and you've purchased, let's say, for example, one BNB, right? Then if you go to the DApp, it shows you, yes, I qualify for the hourly. Yes, I qualify for the daily. Yes, I qualify for the weekly. However, the hourly passes, you go back to the DApp, it'll say you no longer qualify for the hourly. You still qualify for the daily and the weekly. Then day passes, you don't qualify for the day anymore, but you still qualify for the weekly. Now, if the hourly and the daily is working in that rational logic, you can assume that when the week passes, you're not going to qualify, right? But as long as you don't sell and you trigger back in, it's going to retain your total token counts and it's going to roll over again. So then you'll again qualify for the next hour, the next day, and then that following week.
Oh, okay. So if I buy the minimal amount, would that qualify using also not just the minimal amount, but whatever I'm holding as well?
In theory, yes.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And that's the true benefit for the long-term holder, right? Now, we have said if you have sold one token, so if you bought, let's say, for example, you went crazy, you bought in at pre-sale and you went with the max, and then you bought maybe, once we went live, you bought some more. And let's say, for example, you had, I don't know, 5,000 entries into the lottery. A good position to have because your odds are significantly in your favor, although random. Let's say two days later, you're seeing dumps, you panic, you sell, and you think, oh shit, I shouldn't have sold, and then buy back in, right? At that point, because you've sold, you lose your previous entry count. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't build it up again. It just means that your previous total is not tallied up with what you've done. So you just got to
cool. All right, thanks for that. That's much clearer.
So this is not going anywhere by the looks of it. Let's try, and I'm going to just do a transfer. Bear with me a second. See if I can trigger that manually. Receive, copy.
So the daily from yesterday, at least so I'm in Central Time. It's showing it at 4:13.
So it was quite some time afterwards.
So that was six minutes ago, really.
What time was yesterday's daily? Can you check?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That, or at least that's what the DAP is showing. That it was on. It was at So I'm Central Time right now. It's 4:20. It was showing it took place at 4:13. So 7 minutes.
So it's gone over. Again, this could be a direct result of some of the priorities that we changed today. Potentially, if we need to move it back, we can. It's not a problem, and we can't touch that anyway. That's locked in the contracts, right? And we've proven that already with everything else that's gone on. So again, this is nothing to stress about. It will get paid out most certainly. So I'm just going to go in and send tokens to 100. Continue. So this will indeed trigger because we still have a good active balance in the contract. It's still there. So that's been.
All right. So if I refresh
the app, it's showing that
Guys?
hourly is still accumulating.
guys,
Yes.
I just reloaded the app, and it says now the daily is at $29.26. So
Yeah.
it must have been gone up.
Yeah, so let's have a look at the recent
So the question about the hourly still accumulating.
Whose address is? I'll post it in the chat now. It's been drawn. 9. Sorry, Rob. Is that it? Sorry, wrong. I posted in the wrong chat. Let me delete this before this guy sees it.
Just putting your
I'll put it in
putting your address on blast out there.
I'm crazy. So this is right. I'll just say congratulations. You have just one, and I'm gonna just go in and share my screen if that's all right. And I'm gonna go to the BSC contract. Can I share screen? Yes, I can. Screen 2, share. Right, I'm gonna go in. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay,
It would be amazing if we have the winner on board here.
It would be amazing.
It's actually my buddy.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Really? Cool.
Who's speaking right now?
It's me. We both live in Canada, Vancouver. He's at work right now. We both are financial advisors. It must be
And
so
he
happy
won?
right now. I don't even recall.
Cool.
He just won
That's
7.
awesome, man.
He just received it?
Yeah, 7.49 and 28 cents.
$749.28 and then F801, the last 4 digits of his address,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, F801. That's it.
Cool.
If I can join to the chat.
Congratulations to him.
Fantastic.
Well,
Get him on the phone right now.
Yeah, get him on the phone. Tell him to check his wallets.
I'm not giving him a call right now, but
Let's just have a look. BUSD. There it is there. 7. Okay, well, he obviously had some BUSD in there already. But yeah, 749. There it is in black and white. I'm now going to go into the contract. It was 749.57, and it's already accumulated another $29.27.
Yeah.
So for Brian, I think Brian, you were asking about the hourly still accumulating. We were looking at that earlier, and what we think has happened is it's still some of the backlog that's in there, because we've cleared as much as we can with the triggering, but there's still some amount of backlog in there that's going to clear out, over time. And we think that's in the queue for the hourly still, because we for sure have had the settings changed, where the hourly is getting 0% of the tax now. And so we think it's just a backlog that's going to clear out slowly over time, and that's why it's such a small amount.
Yeah. So
guys,
that's
refreshed the D app, and the hourly completely reset to 0, and the daily jumped up to $29.
That's it.
Yeah.
And weekly shown as NAN, and that's we think that's a decimal issue. Believe me, we've been fighting with this contract with decimals like you got no tomorrow. Believe it or not, when we change the threshold, 1 million, from 1 million to 500 million, we just put in 500,000,000,000. That's 500 million, right? Well, in the land of Russia, apparently 500 million, 500,000,000.
That doesn't count.
And then you've got to add another 9 zeros. I mean, who the hell would know that, right? It was absolutely crazy. So, yeah, when I caused that contract to lock, I do apologize, but you need to literally be a rocket scientist to navigate your way through this contract. It is so complex, but we're glad.
Be a Soviet era
working, and yeah, it's perfect. And I'm so glad that the winner, or at least the winner who knows the guy, was on call.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing. Cool.
that's really cool. I don't know if you're still here, but if you can tell your mate who tweets about us, that would be awesome. I've just won X. That would be the cherry on the cake for us. But yeah, no, absolutely. So we'll take a couple of questions, and then we're going to close this off. G's absolutely shattered. I know Sven is, and I know I am myself. We're literally running on fumes. We have a full marketing plan in place that's all kicking off. Well, some of it's kicking off tonight, actually. Most of it's kicking off tomorrow. So we're feeling comfortable with the contract now. It's working as it did. We've just paid out $700. We're excited. If that's what it's going to look like with very little volume that we've had, when the volume starts, how exciting this is really going to get. And it's a fair game for all, like we've said. So I'll shut up now.
I was going to say that excitement right there is what this was all about. And it's that was really cool that someone was on who knew the winner. It'd be cool if that person was here, but I mean, you can only imagine like where this is going to go once we start picking up volume.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to add. If you look at the daily volume from the last day, then it's about 30K. So imagine if we do that times 10. What parts we're gonna do daily. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it just takes you guys. But look, I think something else that I'd like to just get out there. We've spoken about some shilling contest and creative contests for our members as well that want to get involved. We are going to probably use Sweep Widget again. And for those that want to ask about Sweep Widget, they have finally today, I had a look at the reports. I can tell you now the top 10 runners. I'm not going to try to pronounce their names. Sonuk, Chris Powers, I saw you in here earlier. Are you still with us, buddy? Yeah, Crispy, you're here. You're still number 2, buddy. Just letting you know about that. And then Bam Buns. I don't know who Bam Buns is. I don't see you in here. Maybe you are. But as it stands now, those are the 3 leaders. We will commit to that when we do the first weekly lottery draw later this week. We will obviously stick to the commitments. There is the 10 BNB that's going to be going out to the pre-sale and the private sales. We'll do a random draw there. That won't be in the contract, but what we'll do is we'll make it fair. I'm going to import all the qualifying addresses into a spreadsheet. We're then going to import it into a online random picker from a CSV file, and we'll do that live. That person's going to be receiving 10 BNB. And we're also going to be doing the sweep widget giveaway then. And we're going to start a new sweep widget as well soon. So watch the space. There's a lot coming, a lot of volume to be expected over the coming days as well with the marketing efforts that's going live. And yeah, from here onwards, guys, there's no quarrels. There's no issues with the contract. Everything's working as expected. G's happy. Sven's smiling. I'm relaxed. All we need you guys now to do is carry on buying, supporting us. Tell your friends in other communities. Make them aware of what we're doing, that, you know, this isn't a rug. It looks like a slow rug, but it's not. I can guarantee you that. We've
sure.
clearly justified. We wouldn't be here if it was, right? We wouldn't be making
Oh
this.
my God.
It was.
No way.
One last thing one last thing I want to point out is if you look at the chart, just look at it. I mean, this thing wants to go. We had an extremely steep start and the normal sell-off, but if you look at it afterwards, that's all the features we had in place that was like, you know, you look at it to buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, but it's steadily climbing.
Yeah.
Now we made that announcement, of course, and it tanked halfway, and then I did my little shenanigans of clearing it, and it tanked another half of the way. But look at it again, like it's steadily climbing up. I mean, this thing is gonna go. We just need to kick marketing in now, which is exactly what we're doing. Everything's fine, it's working. You just watched it live as it happened, and so we're here. We did it.
Yeah. One more final comment, right? For those thinking that the price has tanked, it hasn't. We added 175 BNB to liquidity.
Yeah.
We are currently on 169. We are 6 BNB down. Now, if that's tanking the price, then I don't know what is. It barely touched with the volume that's happened, with the payouts that we've had, with the people that have invested. It's barely touched the liquidity pool, which is again testimony to the liquidity functions that we've got built in, and it's clearly working and it's doing its job, what it's meant to be doing. So we don't want FUD, we won't accept it. What we said we would deliver on, we have. Now is the time to move forward, and I'm going to end it there, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be available as always. We're going to run more AMAs. We'll announce the next ones as they happen. And we'll keep you updated with what's happening on marketing and where you can expect to see us. So thanks for joining us tonight, guys. Appreciate it.
And if you real quick, if you join late, we're gonna upload this for you.
Yeah, perfect. We will.
That's it. All right.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.